Other interesting political news, you have a city-run grocery store. Well, it shuts down after they waste $18 million from the taxpayers. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, breaking, the city-run grocery store in Kansas City shuts down due to rampant theft, barren shelves, and more. The city spent $18 million to keep it open. What a waste of taxpayer funds. Without too much further ado, this is somehow credited to Fox 4, which again, I don't know how Fox is in business. Like 5 people watch them, I think, maybe 6.
I don't understand. We need this store.
This is dark humor funny. I don't understand. Don't you? Spoiler alert, theft and incompetence.
We do.
Alicia Batson shopped here on Monday and was going to come back here for groceries today. As soon as our interview was done, she started to cry. Part of the reason why she was so emotional may be because of what she told us in the first 30 seconds of our conversation.
What are we supposed to do as a community? Where am I going to go now? Where am I going to go get stuff for my kids?
I'm sorry, dark humor. I have an idea. What is our? Let me just. I don't want to take anything in context. What did she precisely say?
What are we supposed to do as a community? Where am I?
Stop stealing. Again, this is not unique to. Again, there's a lot of communities of theft. It's an instance where there's one reason why a business shuts down anywhere, because they lose money. It's not financially viable. Again, we see a lot of people critique these companies saying that they're evil. I think there was a brief protest by some hilariously obese people when Kroger tried to pull out a city or when they shut down a store. And to Kroger's credit, they actually hit, well, not too much credit. I'm not a great fan, but let them know they just couldn't afford it. Again, grocery stores, the industry average for profit on groceries is 2%. I mean, Walmart makes a 1.6% every fiscal quarter. Not financial advice. It is the worst industry out there. There's a reason. You look what the businesses in 2025. What are the startups? Cybersecurity. Some consumer goods. Yeah. Let's see. What else is out there? Some accessories, knickknacks, electronics. Maybe some, but what's not? Grocery stores. No one starts a business in the grocery store industry. Pretty much every grocery store you see expanding right now has been around for 50 years plus. And it's because no investor would ever say, I'm going to invest in a business that has less than 2% profit margin and is highly competitive. A lot of people see most of the groceries as commodities that they can buy anywhere. There's not a lot of loyalty to a grocery store. People usually shop based on a price point. Or if you're rich and you have a lot of money, you go to Target, which to me is just silly waste of money because it's the same thing as Walmart, but more expensive. But nevertheless, I know they have some unique brands, yada, yada, yada. You're saying, why are they going away? Because they can't afford to. Even Walmart, who to their credit or critique, they had stores on the south side of Chicago for 17 years that never made a profit once. Not one time, because theft was so rampant. And Walmart finally came to their senses and realized even we can't fiscally absorb this anymore. We got employees, we got shareholders, we want to keep. And another thing you need to do is take into consideration keeping your employees safe. Again, there are a lot of communities across the U.S. businesses, and people always try to make it a race thing. Again, it's a culture thing. And businesses don't care. Businesses, I always tell people capitalism defeated racism decades ago, because businesses want to make the most amount of money. Obviously, that's with the greatest amount of sales. If a store is profitable, they're going to keep it open. If it's losing money, if there's theft, if there is aggressive physical harm happening to your customers and your employees, you can't afford to do that. And you can't afford to let that happen. I would argue not just from a fiscal legal perspective in terms of lawsuits. I would argue you have a moral responsibility to protect your employees and your customers. And yet people wonder why these businesses are leaving. Why are these grocery stores shutting down left and right? It's because, especially as companies, the grocery stores, it's just, they can't take it anymore. They cannot afford to. Now, again, going to the comments, when the first one comes to us, thanks to Paul Zazupa, saying, quote, but I'm sure it'll work in New York City because the jihadists will be having their mayor first, right? Getting 690 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, send in the National Guard, getting 462 likes. Now, from a legal perspective, I don't think this will I'm very skeptical to think this will ever happen in the United States, or granted, this state issue by state issue. Trump could solve this with an executive order. I don't think he would. I don't think he would. But I don't have any. This isn't a unique idea. I didn't think of this. But one thing you could do potentially to dramatically decrease crime in the United States would be to change the allowable use of force to have it to that you could defend your property with deadly force. Again, even Texas, you're not allowed to do that. And again, this is not legal advice either. To clarify, I'm not a lawyer, though I do own a suit. It's an instance where in Texas, again, which is a very pro-gun state, I would argue needs to be better, but nevertheless, you're only allowed to defend yourself with deadly force, aka pull out a firearm and stop the deadly threat if they are directly threatening you or your family. Basically, they're threatening to take your life away. That is where standard ground laws come into effect. That's where you can defend yourself. If someone is just trying to steal something from you and they don't pose a physical threat to your life, in Texas, with my understanding right now, you're not allowed to use deadly force. Other countries, other areas, you can. I do think if you want to dramatically decrease crime in the United States, you could change the law so that you could. Again, we'll see if this video gets taken off the YouTube. That's why you should always watch on Apple Podcasts, Rumble, or Spotify, or Spotify, as I think, funnily mispronounce. But again, if you were to change that legal standing, then these stores would have armed guards that could actually do more. They have armed guards. So again, they can only act like if you just take something off the shelf, they're not going to pull out a weapon and stop you. And again, another thing you do, change the legality around lawsuits and people getting hurt in stores. Even when I was a kid, I worked in a grocery store. I worked hard, but I wasn't very smart. I'll never forget. I felt like a failure, which I did fail. I accidentally forgot to, put a chicken in someone's bag, and I accidentally gave it to someone else when I was a bag boy. So again, I made mistakes even back then. But it's an instance where even on my onboarding training in the 90s, that's I think 2000 era, but nevertheless, in onboarding training, they tell you specifically, do not stop people who you suspect of shoplifting because they were worried about lawsuits. They would rather the thief get away, which I would argue has made the whole situation worse, as retail theft in the United States is over $1 billion a year. It's huge. Again, those are a couple of things I think you could do to dramatically, not just decrease crime in the United States, but I would argue help with the culture in the United States and actually have more of a culture of accountability and decrease some of this theft. Because we're seeing this theft get worse and worse and worse. Now, you also have Dr. Shari saying, quote, I thought we already knew this. And they have a picture of a fully stocked store saying evil capitalism. Then below it says fair socialism. It's an empty store getting 888 likes. Which, yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think most kids in public schools read history books properly these days. You also have Song of the Sun saying, quote, yet another socialist experiment ended the exact same way as every other one ever has, getting 1.7 thousand likes. The Flag Guy says, quote, this is exactly what Zohran Mariami will bring to New York shitty. With a bunch of terrorists and R words as well. And I don't mean mentally challenged. And that got 1.2 thousand likes. You also have Freedom is Truth saying, quote, any private grocery store owner could have told them, quote, if you don't stop the theft, there won't be any store left. Perfect example of why the government run anything typically fails, getting 766 stores. You also have Jared Marsh saying, quote, Democrats run cities are fun. They have a picture of Hiroshima and Detroit from 1944, juxtapositioned with a picture of those cities in 2010. And yeah, Detroit went from pinnacle or a great, profitable, very great, clean city to, total hellhole. It says the lesson is easier to come back from a nuclear strike than 5 decades of Democrat-controlled government, getting 1,000 likes. Let's see. Trying to see if there's any contrarian statements here. Let's see. A meme from Patrick saying, quote, they closed all the stores, so now you have to commute 40 miles to shoplift, getting 142 likes. Steve Renee says, quit raising thieves and you won't have this problem. It's not that complicated, getting 100 likes. Which, again, let's see here. I Love American News says socialism sucks. And there's a picture of a construction worker looking at a paycheck looking confused. And it says, quote, me and my paycheck trying to figure out why the government worked half of my shift, or when the government, getting 335 likes. Golden Epoch says, what do you mean they ain't got no snacks? And it's Patrick Starr with the, the eye makeup or eyeliner or eyelashes. the big lips and the fake nails gained 295 likes. And let's see here. Hino Hunter says, communism, follow me for more recipes. And it's just an empty plate getting 162 likes. So, again, it's one of those things where, yeah, that's a concern. I mean, it's concerning that New York wants to replicate this with their prospective new mayor, as Mr. Zoran Mariami has, I mean, a lot of polls have him in the lead, and he won the Democrat nominee, and it's a Democrat area, so odds are this will be coming to New York City soon. And again, $18 million wasted by the taxpayers on this store. Again, the only way these stores could possibly exist in these high theft areas would be to spend a disproportionate amount of their resource allocation on physical security. You have to have judges actually prosecute the law, or prosecute the criminals, and actually enforce the law, which again is a rare thing in some blue areas. And they keep complaining about, they wonder, why is this happening? Because the stores are losing money, the employees are getting physically hurt, the customers are getting physically hurt. It's just not viable. And again, it's also a government-run store. On top of all that, you also have the ineptitudes that come with hiring, not all, but some public sector employees. When it comes to, well, I can't help but think the best apt metaphor for government employees is the DMV, or perhaps the U.S. Postal Service, which, yeah, not the hardest working folks out there. But unfortunately, I think this is just going to get worse and worse in terms of these food deserts being created, because again, it's the toughest industry to be in, and they keep suffering these losses more and more. I think these grocery stores are just coming to the breaking point where they just can't take it anymore, and you're having a domino effect of once one store did it, it kind of is one of those things where it was just okay to happen again. Because the first time it happened, again, Walmart got a lot of pushback in the press. Was it Q2 last year, I believe, when they shut down the stores in South Side Chicago, and they admitted, which give them credit to actually, saying the quiet part out loud, or being honest. They said, yeah, 17 years, we never made a profit out of these stores. We can't afford to anymore. And once they did that, other grocery stores go, you know what? The biggest protest happened. The biggest pushback happened. We're going to start closing down our least profitable stores as well. And with really no startups going into the grocery store industry, I don't see any of this anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. Greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and comments. Great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how to make sure better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.